cell up in a skyscraper in my version of the story. Like, fucking Ripley goes into what, like, illustrates superconsciousness like crazy power. Like, chemists and physicists and, like, structural engineers of just not that far in the future were now morphing in a weird inward way that takes your consciousness, which became like a weirdo discovery of the people when the artificial intelligence, like, taught it, like, just printed it out how to make, like, fucking materials that are like fucking steel beams that, like, wrap inwardly on a weird nanomolecular level, lattice, and, like, grafted to, like, water in some way. It's not pouring down, it's like fucking. So when you go up that stairwell, if you can believe it, and this is what they fucking discovered, or like the fucking consciousness told them it would be there if they built it this way, and that it would not only affect the physical structure as observed, like, you go up this stairwell, you look, and you're like, that's not a metal railing, that's like turning into something. Do you see that, guys? Wow. And they're just like, whoa, and they fucking just follow it up. It's just like something that, like, took you out of the fucking, like, constraints of this physical dimension, like, where you're, like, fucking no longer constrained by, like, distance or anything, man. Fucking
cages on the porch or, like, downstairs or something.
Is it a vapor sig?
Yes.
Fucking do it right here. Or, you know, like, yeah, it's vapor. Does it leave any lingering smells and things?
No, if it does, I can stop, but I don't think it does. I got 4 more chapters to read, fucking, unless you feel up to reading. Or unless you've had enough, dude, fucking, like.
What's that?
Or unless you've had enough.
No, I can go on. I'm fucking told. A coffee and some beer? Is this it?
One of those.
So you blow my mind up with, like, fucking, like, a little bit of that. So you're describing, like, your milieu where there's, like, you taking the United Systems, like, government-issued sedatives. I'm thinking, like, some event happens where, like, just before the fucking aliens fall into the sky and bring the fucking state of the situation to the point of, like, those, like, insect beings may devour the whole planet because they fell out of this, like, ruptured wall of a spaceship that was containing them, and it just, like, spilled into the sky. Like, if you're playing baseball in the daytime side of the Earth scene, or on the highway, you just suddenly see this, like, blue sky go to, like, fucking, they see something falling en masse, and, like, shoot it the way it would look if we were looking out here on a sunny day. Like, dude, look at all those spots in the sky. What is that? Hey, what the heck is that? And then all of a sudden it quickly becomes world news, like, fucking.
There's a scene
unbeknownst to us
in the, like, beginning of the third film,
a containment ship,
where fucking, like,
and seeing it realistically, like, if we were nearby it, like a mile away, like, fucking. Whoa, dude, what is that? They're like fucking gigantic fucking, like, insect-like aliens that look like they're ready to kill.
Kyle gets ripped in half like Bishop.
Onto the planet.
Kyle gets ripped in half like Bishop in the beginning.
There's big pile of dead ones, and they're just like as big as the pyramids, like fucking. When there's news coverage, like they fell to Earth in this one area. But all that larva and shit that they must exude, you know what I mean? How they easily get inside people. Leaves the pile of, like, the fallen carcasses and just, like, fucking, it shows them fucking getting into everything, like, fuck, you know what I mean?
Well, Kyle gets ripped in half by a queen, just like Bishop did in the end of Aliens. In the beginning of the third one.
It'd be a fucked up thing to turn on the news and, like, happened.
And, like, fucking, so there's injured Doug and there's fucking, like, ripped in half her. And they gotta fucking protect the kids from a queen. And fucking, so they're trying to fucking work the strength to fucking put a bullet in the fucking brain.
And it ties into the either real or fake, like, joint session of Congress and Senate or whatever. Like, fucking the HR 2300 bill. Have you ever seen it on YouTube? Vaccinations shall begin on said, like, classified containment centers, blah blah blah. Have you ever seen that? There's a weird fucking video that looks like a congressman reading off a law, and he, like, there's an increasing amount That's confidential. That's top secret. Just like, and then you hear what he says in between the that's confidential. Due to their otherworldly strengths, if it should happen in an urban area, this is Jesus. Confidential, underground, secure birthing centers and classified. If it happens on whichever happens first, the outbreak of flesh-eating airborne. You never heard that?
Yeah, I know, dude, but I'm...
Alright, so, like, imagine that, like, okay. You tie it into something that, like, either hoax people or has some, like, weird... I don't know if it's real. It's probably fake. It has to
So
be
instead
fake.
of demystifying the creature, mystify it more. Mystify, like, what the engineers are, like, doing with the xenomorphs and the fucking black goo and the fucking...
Dude, we help the predators discover like a portal into this weird dimension that like beings like the insect alien can't even get to. And you go up through the skyscraper and artificial intelligence figured it out. And they build this thing. It's just like a building. They're like, oh, that looks awesome, man. What is that? A light up at the top? That's gotta be the tallest building I've ever seen in the world. Go up it. And then you start noticing, and then somehow it would have to suck you into a weirdo art, fucking ambient, like abstract, archetypal, like fucking atemporal, non-linear, like fucking situation, like occurs to the protagonist in 2001 when he fucking sees the obelisk and the stars line up, and then goes into the Stargate. Like there's something happening where it's like curling in into some place that's not beyond the edge of space, if there is one. Beyond space. Beyond infinite space. And how our consciousness, which is comprised of that matter, like encounters it. It ties into like quantum physics, like fucking entanglement problem and the action at a distance and fucking levels of mind that go into like weirdo, for all intents and purposes, we would consider from our standards and perceptions like non-physical mental realms. And like fucking we figure out how to get there through the skyscraper that was figured out, like with advanced like fucking it did a million years worth of thinking of trillion architects by the millisecond before 3:32 at 42 seconds Eastern Standard Time. About 36 seconds before the top of the minute, it had achieved. And it makes you think, especially when we're about to show you the technologies that it's produced. Technologies that lead into places that are beyond all technology, into levels of mind and consciousness that cross into some other realm. Where the protagonist meets in a psychedelic interdimensional montage these beings from a universe that can't even be described as a universe, can't be described as being in being, but is not a nothingness like type of being. And when they come to the aid of fucking the humans, these things, these spirits, these like just physio-spiritual, ether dimensional like fucking consciousnesses from the invisible islands, like acts as the go-between liaison, like fucking peacemaker between the predator beings and like introduce like the predator beings, like fucking it'd be radical to show like a time slot in the universe, like this is 2397 or something, and we're at this level, and then at the same time show like a coterminous, like here's what's happening in predator societies right now, and it shows their parallel right then in space, in the moment in the universe, like where they're at.
There's different ways you could shoot it, but you gotta like...
Which may require prequels from fucking the Predator, like how the Predators became, how they got their technology, their history, like the fucking early fucking like human or Predator story, like fucking, you know what I mean?
Well, how they did is like fucking like an engineer ship fucking crashed on fucking their world and fucking like
And then some shit that shows inner space travel, and these people, like predators, coming from a well-known area of the sky and like depicted in cinema, in film. Like, okay, if you jetting out at fucking like faster than light speeds from the Earth, wormholing to fucking like Rigel, the lower fucking foot of Orion, which is over there. Like fucking, what was I gonna say? Man. Duck dong and cheech fucking duck and tong and chocolate chicken in the docking river of dickin' chaka daka laka a flat flat ba doo doo doo.
Do you want me to read or